Live. Okay, we are live and back for another episode of Yup Network Live.
What up? What up?
I'm Jasmine Laverne. We're missing Sharik today, but we have a beautiful co-host, Ron Deuce. We have Miss Jerica Gilliam, and we have Christian. So I'll let you all introduce yourselves and we'll get started.
Definitely. I'll start it off. I'm Christian Green. I'm out here in Lancaster, Palmdale, in the Antelope Valley area, Greater Los Angeles, what they call it. I'm an educator. I'm into politics, and I just love helping people. And we're excited about this conversation today. I actually teach an intro to hip hop course for Cal State Dominguez Hill, so we're going to have fun today. So share this, tell your friends, your family, get them in the house.
Get them in the house.
And I am Jerica Gillum, also known as Gigi, marriage and family therapist associate. That's really it about me. I don't have anything else that I want to share.
The socialite.
A little bit.
And Mr.
Ron.
My name is Ron Deuce. I'm a rap artist, audio engineer, and actor. I'm originally from the Bay Area. I moved to Los Angeles in 2012 to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. I love everything, music, every genre, and I love hip hop, and I'm excited to talk hip hop today.
And we are excited to have you as our special guest.
Definitely. Thank you.
Now, Jasmine, did you want to tell people who you are, what you do?
I am the hot topic of the day, baby. I'm Jasmine. I am at the intersection of Hollywood and pop culture and politics. I'm outgoing entertainment chair of Los Angeles Urban League Young Professionals and joining the board, the programs committee of the national board. So excited to, expand nationally with Urban League.
Exciting. Okay, so we're just gonna dive right on in. I'm sure you guys have been seeing it all over the internet, social media. I've been getting personal text messages about it. Top news and events of today is Nick Cannon. So we were going to show you guys a little clip, but it's hard to find because YouTube took it down for hate speech. Mm-hmm. So basically, Nick Cannon was fired by Viacom for failing to apologize for using anti-Semitic words or verbiage, as you will, according to them. And so he did not apologize. He stood by what he said. And also, he actually said that they should be apologizing to him. So it's a little controversial because the comments are kind of crazy. But I don't know. I'm sure you guys have seen it. What do you guys think about the clip? We've all watched it.
I'll start. So being raised in Catholic school, but learning about world religions, being at the intersection of pop culture and politics, this is like my jam. This is exactly, if I had a PhD, it'd be in the intersection of hip hop, politics, and religion. So what's interesting for me is that if you understand globalism and you understand how religion was the first way that humans were divided beyond color, like color came after. Remember the Christians and the Gentiles, or the Gentiles and the Jews, the Crusades. So it's interesting to me in this time of social justice and social reckoning that they're going to find something or someone to pin some anti-whiteness on an African American, or kind of talk about how he's anti-Semitic, right? And all that drama. But what's interesting to me is that kind of the social impact aspect of it, right? It's like Jewish people don't identify as white people. They identify as they're a minority themselves, along with the other BIPOCs and everyone else. And they have made Hollywood their industry. And so if we're asking,
I think that
literally it's books about how the Jews built Hollywood. The Jews built Hollywood. Like, so he's not saying anything but the truth that they run Hollywood. We are now, having our stake and being creatives and having our plates and our seat at the table, but we're entering in someone else's stuff like always. Do I think it's anti-Semitic what he said? No, I think the issues is that he's aligning himself with Minister Farrakhan, and everyone, has their political and their religious ideas about Nation of Islam. And I think that's where the controversy is really geared towards. And I think if that's what Viacom wants to say that outright. Don't try to beat around the bush and call this general conversation that he had anti-Semitic and hate towards the Jewish people, because he said during the whole conversation, this is no hate.
Everybody's on high alert because of what Deshaun Jackson posted, who's a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. So
I don't
like anybody that's associating themselves with Farrakhan or repeating his ways, his ideas, his philosophy is anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those of us that don't know about Deshaun Jackson's comments, can you just kind of let us know?
So Deshaun Jackson basically put out a post saying that it was quote unquote from Hitler, that Black people are the original people of the earth. And basically it talked about if Black people were to come together, how strong we would be. So it was a quote from Hitler that said something along the lines of basically keeping them divided, keeping them separated, not allowing them to rise up. Because if they do, then they pretty much like rule the world. And Deshaun Jackson apologized. He faced a lot of backlash. They quoted that as being anti-Semitic, which I understand because he is quoting Hitler, who was responsible for the Holocaust. So I think that everybody's pretty much just on high alert right now.
And saying like, look.
Well, Christian, you're quiet. What do you think over there?
I really don't know what to think about it. I think at the end of the day, this is a learning opportunity for a learning moment for Nick. I know, Black Lives Matter. We're in the huge moment right now. I'm literally teaching this in my class every day about, applying the pressure, learning how to build off of the momentum, but also we want to be wise in how we do it, right? And so learning the history, learning how to be more, I guess, educated in how we respond to things so we can avoid stuff like this happening. But my question really would be, like the stuff that I believe, Wild and Out, what is it called? Wild and Out?
Wild and Out, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it, but Wild and Out is on that show, right? So do you think that he deserved ownership to those rights because he literally built that from the ground up? Or, should they still take profit from that? I don't know. I think that what he was alluding to in regards to Black people owning stuff, getting their rights, I think he was right on, on target with that.
Which this actually might work out in his best interest because Diddy supposedly put out a tweet.
I saw that.
Vote.
Yeah.
Diddy said this is completely Black owned.
Come on. That's a whole.
But do you trust Diddy?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, come on now. But I mean, he's in the moment right now.
I wouldn't want a Diddy contract. I mean, just take that how you want it. But if I was a singer.
Facts.
You think you would or you wouldn't?
Would not.
You would not? Oh, I thought you said you would.
Diddy.
I mean,
his best friend.
You're not gonna start with that. But we are we're gonna talk into Bad Boy. I mean, he did build Bad Boy up. I still listen to Bad Boy, all the essentials, all the music. You got Toto, you got 112, you got all the
duets.
Right. You got all the people, right? And so, I think that during that time frame in the 90s, he was still learning. He was still an executive. He was just following what the other executives was doing. Right. Now, after he's learned a little bit, I mean, that's where we have to be more graceful and more merciful towards our other brothers and sisters. This is what I've always been preaching. And I gotta hold myself accountable in that area, because it's like now you see this black fad of Black Lives Matter moving and progressing, and now you want to hop on board. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. You know,
who's hopping on board? Nick Cannon?
No, I'm talking about Puff Daddy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Diddy, he did have Rock the Vote back then. He's been political, but then we remember I think in the Hillary Trump election, he was asked about politics, and his whole thing was, politics is deeper than what we can handle because, it's rigged and blah, blah, blah. So I think if we're giving Diddy the benefit of the doubt, I think his way of making change, he's understanding that politics is not necessarily the way he can impact it, society, but using media as a voice to speak truths of Black people, their worth, their lineage, and
I mean, here's my thing about the whole Nick Cannon thing. I think sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I think anytime you reference anyone as savages and animalistic, people are going to be offended.
100%.
Now, if we go,
we'd be offended.
You said what?
If they called us monkeys, we'd be offended.
Yeah, anytime you utilize certain words, I think people are going to be offended. Now, do I think that history as we may have learned it is different than reality? So I think he's shedding some light to have the conversation of, the Jews that we know of today are there's a debate, I should say, if people of color, Black people, are the original Jews, or are they the white people that we see and that we know of today? So I think that he sparked a way to have dialogue about history.
Yes.
And I don't think he ever said that white people couldn't be Jews. And I think the conversation is with the diaspora of religion, right? And the Silk Road, and how religion moved throughout the globe and throughout Africa and throughout Europe and throughout Asia. White people decided, we want to be Jewish. They kind of just bought into Judaism, where Black people probably just decided, or we left the continent and was indoctrinated to be more Christian, without kind of us being fueled and us being ingrained in Jewish religion, because there are Jews that are Black.
I think we got to do our research overall. I think that
mind you,
we just got to do our research.
Catholic school that we learned world religion, so I did a little research in this.
And it just depends on the teacher. So
and it depends what you consume, because even the film Out of Darkness on Amazon, it speaks about kind of the science and the math behind I guess the world and world power, world economics, and the Black role in globalization. I think that's an interesting film we can look at and talk about it at a later date. But
I want to read one of these comments, but it's kind of long to put up here. Kingpin says, I was about to say it's kind of long because you're not gonna be able to see them. I certainly feel like he has the right to advocate for ownership of Wild 'N Out, as he was the creator of that brand, and our cultural influence as a people made it popular. But it's all about contracts. Viacom still provides the platform and had the network. As a great businessman, Nick knows this. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. A partnership with Revolt Diddy would be amazing for Wild 'N Out. So Kingpin, I think he hit the head right on the money. I think, how can you think of Wild 'N Out without Nick Cannon? He is the creator, and he's brilliant.
Yeah,
he's brilliant. So I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
We have to understand that it's not just impacting Wild 'N Out; it's also impacting The Masked Singer. It's impacting his relationship with Nickelodeon. So
everybody that worked on Wild 'N Out,
right?
Yeah.
All the merch,
right?
It's a big financial loss for him. We don't know, his contract could have been for 10 years, and now he has to find a lawyer to break that contract and to get what he's entitled to, because that's his namesake. Honestly, when the contract signed, so I don't know what he gonna be able to do.
He's smart. One thing I can say about Nick Cannon, he's smart. He's created a lot of different things and contents, and he has paved the way for a lot of people who are just social media influencers. Like, they have really developed and grown. And so someone that had maybe 50,000 followers are now in the millions. And so he gave people chances, he gave people opportunities, he gave people jobs, and so it's interesting to see how it's going to play out. Like, I don't really know.
And you know, he's been, I don't know why, but him and Kenan Thompson been on my mind. But even before all this happened, and just seeing the longevity, they don't get the honor I feel like they should in the entertainment industry. Nick has done everything. He's been a rapper. He did Gigolo. Remember that song?
Yeah.
I'm a gigolo.
What were you saying, Christian? You were saying something.
That Jasmine was saying about him being in the entertainment industry for a long time.
Yeah.
You don't realize that. I remember him from what? All That? Was it?
Yeah.
All
Right.
Right, and that was like in the 90s. So we've been doing it for a while. I mean, he was married to one of the greatest female not rappers, but singers of history, Mariah Carey.
Love her.
Right, not over Whitney, but that's another subject. And
he just recently picked up the documentary that Nipsey Hussle left off.
I know, right?
So me being a spiritual person, anytime I've lost a job, after I left that job, I always felt like it was a gain, like it was time for me to move forward. So this may be a time where it's just time for him to elevate and move forward in this transition.
I agree with you.
Seasons, right? There's a season for everything. We talk about the Bible being spiritually, I don't know how we got onto this, but there's a season for everything. And maybe it's a season to just go out and do his own thing.
The thing that I like is that I think he got fired. Was that from America's Got Talent? Was he fired from, or he got but then he turned around and got the Masked Singer. So it's like when one door closes, another one opens.
Exactly. And he's a creator himself, so he's always going to find the opportunity.
Exactly. So we got a lot of hot topics today, but that was the one that, phone has been blowing up about that. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to move on to the next one, which I think is pretty exciting. And Ron, you're the one that brought this to us. I hadn't heard about it before. We received the article about Janelle Monáe. So I would love for you to kind of talk about it. Tell us your thoughts on it. She's had some interesting things.
So singer Janelle Monáe called out hip hop, and she says that she no longer wants to hear men in hip hop. She only wants to hear women. And I thought that this would be a great topic to bring to you guys. I got on the phone with Sharik and she invited me on. And it's hard. This topic could go on forever because I understand where she's coming from. But then I also feel like it's a very brash statement to make. When you consider the fact that there are a lot of conscious artists, there are a lot of artists that talk great about women. It even goes deep to where even how you said the Jews own Hollywood. There are a lot of Jewish people that own the record labels as well. So we don't even control a lot of our artists today don't control their music. And we also don't necessarily control what's on the airwaves. So when we're hearing music that comes off as misogynistic, it sort of dilutes the fact that there are artists that are pushing for change, making positive music. And Janelle Monáe seems very hurt. And I sympathize with her because there are a lot of artists out there that, I'll turn on a song and it's a bunch of, bitches, hoes, this. If she ain't doing this, I ain't with it. But I also understand, where she's coming from.
There's so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
Where do we start? So I get what you're saying. I think that media. Let's play off of media right now. Let's do that. What do you guys think about, or what do y'all think about the role of media in perpetuating misogyny during this? During the '90s, I think where it became more the bees and the hoes and all that stuff. Even in today's time, still, but it's died down a little bit. It's diluted. So I don't know about your experience with that, but I know that there was a moment in the '90s when it shifted in regards to being political to being more party oriented. And so in the early '90s, you had Run DMC. I'm not Run DMC.
Enemy.
Yes, Public Enemy. That's in the '80s. You had Ice Cube.
Yep.
NWA, B.I.G. You had Tupac. But then it shifted to a party. So then it went over to Nelly, Snoop Dogg, and all the other ones. So it's like a mixture, right? But I will say that Janelle has a statement on it. Like, there has been a lot of misogyny in it, and women has been, Black women specifically, have been degraded and devalued through hip hop. Now, to cancel hip hop, that's a whole nother art. I don't think we should cancel. And I grew up religious, and I couldn't even listen to it. We would get in trouble. I would go sneak down at my cousin Anthony had every CD in the world, every hip hop, every CD you could ever think of, and we would be. Tupac's my favorite artist, and so I would try to sneak that in every now and then. And so I think that Janelle Monáe is onto something, but I think that it should be a different word or a different verbiage used.
Yes.
Maybe it should be, I think, another rebirthing, because, like you were saying, music used to have messages. Like, I think of some of Tupac's lyrics, and I was learning things, or even Nas, I'm learning things from the messages and the lyrics that are being, that I'm hearing. But now the messages are very misogynistic. It is very degrading. It changes the way people interact with me, or and me as a Black woman, and I'm just being generalized, right? So now it's supposed to be a compliment if you're a bad bitch. And I'm just kind of like, well, I'd rather be called a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? It has really changed the way in which society views women, especially Black women. We've been sexualized our entire lives. And at one point, it seemed like we were trying to change that trajectory about how we were viewed, but it seems like it's getting back to how it used to be. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, it seems like now it's just, I can't think of a positive, like, rap song from a mainstream artist,
including female.
Yeah.
No, I can think of a few for female, but I can't think of any coming from a male artist. Now,
I think piggybacking off of what Christian said, we have to look at media and who controls the media, like Nick Cannon said, and the messages they want. They're giving us money to tell, right? So if we want to be seen in this life, we want to be famous, if we want to be and get our bag up and all that other good stuff, we're going to do what we have to do, unfortunately sometimes at any expense. So my thing is, you have, and let's not forget, like Cherie just said in the comments about Rhapsody, or about Queen Latifah, who was singing UNITY. So and then now we have our female rappers now, Cardi and Megan Thee Stallion, love them, but the messages that they're saying about Black women as well. So it's like, all right, in the 90s, we transitioned over to Tip Drill and Nelly and Master P and Yin Yang Twins. All those lyrics have degraded women in some type of way and made it okay for us to say, okay, now we are not gold diggers. I don't want to use that word, but now we are about our money, and we going to twerk until we get our money. And however we got to get our money is any means necessary, right? I think it's kind of just what people want to feed into Black women. And I think, like we said a couple of weeks ago in the long trending theme is Black families are under attack, and they start with the Black woman, and I don't want to be canceled by speaking too much now.
I'm seeing women rebel now. When I listen to Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, especially City Girls, they're all like,
I be feeling empowered sometimes. I ain't gonna
lie. You know what I mean? They're like in a rebellious mode. They're like, okay, now it's our turn. Like now we're gonna get ours. You know what I mean? However we get it, and that's that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's exactly what I was thinking.
What about this word?
Objectification. Oh yeah. I mean, Sharik, we miss you.
What up,
objectification, Sharik? Yeah. I mean, I think that kind of leads us into something we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is the standards of men and women in hip hop. And do they? I think that this was something that, I don't know, women have to almost like objectify their bodies if they are hip hop artists, it seems, in order to get the same type of fame and acknowledgement as a male counterpart.
And I think
now, if a female rapper looked like Rick Ross, you know what I mean? I just wonder if they would get the same type of fame. Lizzo gets dragged all the time.
And Lizzo is the most self-love, empowering. I love Lizzo. That's my girl.
I think we're in a society where, unfortunately, sex sells, whether it's hip hop, whatever it is. Yesterday, I saw a billboard, and it was a picture of an Instagram model, and she was promoting a product. The product that...
What model was it?
I am not sure. No. It had her Instagram name on there.
It don't matter. So many of them, they all doing the same thing.
Because this is what really caught my attention. The product had nothing to do with her being on a billboard half naked. But what draws everybody's attention is the fact that she's half naked. So it's unfortunate that as a society, we've like dumbed down and like most of the marketing is catered towards like sexiness, you know what I mean, and sex selling. So it's just really unfortunate.
And as a hip hop artist, for you, like, how do you navigate that in regards to like your lyrics? Do you feel like, sometimes you have to be a little bit more with the trends and objectify women, or do you feel like because you're a conscious artist, right? So kind of where do you fall in place with all of that?
I understand that it's a tougher road, but I also feel like it's more rewarding. I feel comfortable like sharing my music like with my mother. Although I have cussing in here and there, I feel comfortable sharing it with my sister. My daughter sings Black Boy PTSD, the video you guys are gonna play later. I get more satisfaction out of that, if anything, than making people shake their tail feather. But what I do is my method, which I've sort of found myself again, because when I first came into rap, it was just straight up, street and mob music. I'm from the Bay. So when I was doing music, I was rapping about everything that I was seeing, in South Berkeley, in Oakland, in Richmond. Now I've transitioned, I've matured, and my music is a lot more positive, but I try to bring those heavy bass beats, what I mean, mix it in with positive lyrics, because I also know that people want to be able to dance, people want to be able to feel good. And as Black people, we've always laughed and danced throughout our pain.
Talk about it.
We don't always want to hear someone preaching at us. And that's kind of things I had to learn, because a lot of my music would be like self-reflective, and I would be sort of preaching to myself, preaching to my audience. But like, people don't always want to hear that. I met somebody that was Kendrick Lamar's cousin, and they told me that their favorite artist was YG. Like, and this was the type of person that like to turn up, go to the club, and do her thing, and like I sort of understood, like, okay, she wants to feel good. She doesn't always want to feel like, what I mean, she's being like preached to in a sense. So I try to like find a balance, to be honest. That's how I approach it.
Eliza says, she says, I like to shake my tail feather.
And then get the next comment.
Girl, me too. Me too.
But you go to church on Sunday. That's all.
The church beats be hidden too, okay? That church music be hidden too.
It does. I think it's the beautiful thing. I think that, if I'm listening to Back That Ass Up by Juvenile.
That used to be my favorite song.
Right. It's kind of a vibe. Even my neck, my back. It's a vibe. And as much as it's misogynistic, it feels good to dance. Actually, your chakras do very well when you twerk because your back is like going like this.
I don't really feel like that was super misogynistic. He said, "Girl, you look good.
You look good."
Yeah. Not be.
Yeah. It's all about the approach. You're right.
It's all about the approach.
And we want to celebrate. We want to dance. We want to have a good time. Yeah. So where's that fine line where it's like it's conscious and it makes us feel good, but it's not corny like we doing the two-step and the cha-cha slide.
Yeah, I love
those songs. And even Beyonce, I saw a tweet the other day with Beyonce's Juneteenth song, and they were like, "We put it on play, we listened to it, and then we didn't go back to it because it was such a feel-good song or such a corny song that it was like, thanks, B, but we need something more ratchet."
But it got some gems in there, and the first time I heard it, I couldn't really understand, and I kept listening and listening. There's so many gems in there. Like she has a line where she says, ancestors on my wall, let the ghosts chit chat. And if y'all see in the back, I got Marcus Garvey up there.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a painting of Nelson Mandela, Obama. And that's what she meant. You know what I mean? Black art. She's talking about black art. You know what I mean?
And I think it's important to preserve our black art, whether it's good, bad, misogynistic, because it tells our story. And I think we can't lose sight of our story, our experiences. Just like if we're tearing down monuments, I don't think we should tear them down and throw them in the bay. I think we should take them away from public display and put them in museums so that we don't forget.
No, some of them monuments, I'm sorry, they need to be torn down.
They need to be torn down, but I think they need to be. I don't think we should forget what's going to happen if we take down the monuments and we throw them away in 20 years, not even 100 years, in 20, 50 years. What slavery, what Confederacy, but
no, we can keep the conversation alive. We've kept it alive before.
I mean, girl, we barely know our history. We got to be told about our history by each other, and now trying to get it into scholastics, into the educational system.
It needs to be taught in school for sure.
Yeah, they're not going to perpetuate and tell the story of the white man doing bad to black people once everything is kumbaya.
I think Marcus Tyson says something that is pretty interesting. He says, artists are the gatekeepers of truth. They provide inspiration and encouragement, allowing us to express ourselves as proud Black people. And I absolutely agree with him. Music is food to the soul. And I do think you have to be really mindful of the kind of music that you listen to, because sometimes it changes the lens of how you view yourself and others. And so
I would love what Nail just said. Can you pull that up? There you go. And for you, Jasmine and Gigi, and then Wolf, we'll chime in afterwards. How do you guys feel about this as making a wave of empowerment through like Doja and Nicki, etc.? Some of them is thinking as City Girls is just twerking. But then, there's a class that I teach. It's called Cardi B and the politics of respectability politics of hip hop, right? So
I'll take that course.
Owning your own sexuality, owning what people has deemed as not normal. So I would love to get your take on that, because if we're going to cancel hip hop, that means canceling women hip hop as well, hip hop artists in general. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, and that's why I had not an issue with what Janelle Monáe said, but I didn't think it was well thought out. I think Black women are making a wave of empowerment. Again, I feel like it's sort of a means of rebellion. And I think when you're listening to music, I think it all starts at the home. My mom is from New Orleans, so we grew up listening to, Lil Wayne and the Hot Boys. She loved Lil Wayne.
I love Lil Wayne.
I need to have
in a sense, it influenced me, but at the same time, whenever I thought I was gonna do anything that was pertaining to something that I shouldn't have been doing, my mom had like a grasp on me. So I think that we have to learn like what's entertainment and what's not, because at the end of the day, Cardi B goes home to a family. She goes home to her children, to her man. So this is all entertainment. So we have to be able to separate that.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Christian, and I said this earlier, I was like, some of the lyrics are empowerment. They empower me, talking about, making sure you don't let anyone mistreat you. I remember Cardi B came out with the song, Be Careful With Me. And I can relate to that song. You know what I mean? Like, know what you're doing. And she's like basically saying, I'm not going to stand for your type of behavior. And so when you talk about misogyny in music and try to, like, people try to group women into that, it's like, well, I guess it depends on that kind of woman, but you have to break down what is misogyny. But that's a whole nother, discussion, I should say.
And I want to two things that I'm kind of really passionate about is one, Doja Cat, love her music. But just a couple weeks ago, people were canceling her because she was on, I guess, racist Reddits and like racist sites showing her toes. Like a, what's the thing? What's the thing that you show? OnlyFans. She was like on an OnlyFans where she was like perpetuation racism. And apparently she's half Nigerian, half white or something like that. So people canceled her because she was hanging with racists and talking some racist shit about Black people. People canceled her, but then they were like, well, I'm still listening to Doja Cat. Even with Kanye, it's like, all right, we canceling him as a person, but we still mess with his songs and his lyrics. So it's like, do you separate the artist from the music and the beat? And I want to just play a clip really quick to kind of lead the conversation there. 1 second.
Good old Nina Turner.
Oh, of course, it's gonna take a while.
In this day and age, because we have to find power in ourselves. And, and a lot of times finding power in ourselves go back to drawing on our history.
That's right.
I don't think we do enough of that.
No, we don't.
So did you participate in the Day Without a Woman?
You know what? I did not participate in that, but big ups to them.
But you had to teach at work at school?
Yeah, sister got to teach.
Well, no, but they did say even if you did go to work, you can still show your support by wearing red or shopping at businesses that were owned by women.
A beautiful thing, but again, see, my lane is the how do we win elections lane. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, a day without women, but then the next day we're gonna go back and shop and work and do everything else that we have to do. Symbolically, that is good, but we got to get down. The thing about hip hop, and I know you guys were talking about this. Politics and hip hop really go together. It's really about. Is it about the substance or is it about the hype? Is it about the beat or is it about the lyrics? I'm about the lyrics.
But I do.
So, you love Remy Ma's record.
Remy broke it down. Okay, she cold. She said, "Don't get caught up."
All right. So, what do we think? Hip hop, it's about the lyrics or it's about the beat?
I feel like hip hop resonates with people in so many different ways. Some people are moved just by the beat, but I'm a person that is moved by the lyrics. Now, I can't listen to just the lyrics without a bomb beat, don't get me wrong, but I can't just say like I can sometimes listen to the songs and I really don't know what they're saying, because in my mind I'm like, what are they saying? Like, what are they saying? So I think it just resonates with people different ways, and it's really going to depend on the individual.
And I think it's interesting. And Ron, I'll pose this to you: is, you know, Lucifer, I don't know how you say you're spiritual, I don't know how religious you are, but Lucifer was the minister of music, right? And I listen to a lot of frequencies, like sound. Huh?
No, I'm just playing. I'm just messing with you.
But like I listen to I go to like sound baths and kind of like absorb the music and the sounds of the world. So it's like, if we're consuming songs and if this is what we're consuming and these are the ideas that we have in our head, how important is that, listening to the lyrics and getting those messages and internalizing them, as well as the kind of rhythms of the music as well.
Yeah. Jay-Z had a line where he said, I wanted to rap like Common Sense, but I did 5 mil. I ain't been rapping like Common Sense. So I think there has to be a balance.
Cheers to Jay-Z.
Again, there has to be a balance, because Jay-Z has been talking Black empowerment for a very long time. If you go to Reasonable Doubt, he's talking about like being self-owned. People didn't really pick up on it until 444, and I saw a lot of like negative comments, and they say, oh, well, now he's talking Black empowerment after all these years. What Jay-Z did was, in my opinion, very smart. He commercialized himself, his records, but he still had those records that were thought-provoking for like his deep fans, for the people that dug like deep in the bag and wanted to hear more. He still had those, you know, those lyrics, that Black empowerment. But he managed to also understand that, you know, you have to have fun. This is also entertainment. So it is about the beats as well as the lyrics. So again, I would say you have to find a balance. And I'm still working on that myself. So I'm trying to as well.
And I think that's important, because you have to kind of make yourself comfortable enough, make people comfortable with you, and then sneak those messages in. And like, if you look at the full Nina Turner, that episode on the Breakfast Club that we just showed, she talks about, you got to listen to the B-sides. You can't just listen to what's radio, because that's what is popular. That's what is going to sell. But the B-sides is actually that artist's message.
Right.
Can you tell everybody who Nina Turner is?
Nina Turner is a professor at a community college in Columbus, Ohio. She's also a senator. She gets a lot of hate from the Democratic Party because she's not one of those I'm a go along to get along senators. She's on the sides of beautiful AOC and Ayanna Presley and the other one, the Muslim.
We got it. I just was like, some people probably might not know. She also I think she's written like a couple of books too. But she stands within her own lane. And one thing that she said in that interview is, because we're talking about politics as well a little bit, is that research your candidate, because sometimes it's more than just a political party that they're a part of. And I was like, that's interesting. I think that sometimes people are like, I'm just going to vote for this particular person because they're part of the Democratic Party without researching what that person or that candidate is about. And that's for your local elections as well. So she's definitely someone to watch.
I'm hoping this election, I'm hoping that we come out strong and vote, because there's so many people who believe their vote doesn't count. And regardless of politics, of the conspiracies, I believe that voting is also a means of respect for our ancestors, those who fought, you know what I mean, for us to be able to vote.
100%.
I think Nina was onto something about knowing our history. I think this is what, like, the whole purpose of our show and why we're here too, is to kind of continue to push that educational aspect, that history as urban professionals. I took a hip hop course with Dr. Breon Bain at UCLA, and that's when I learned about like the beginnings of hip hop and what it was birthed out of. You know, there was like 4 elements, right? I'm sure Mr. Deuce, you probably know. What was it like? The b-boy,
got the breakdancing, graffiti, the DJ, the MC.
The MC all played a role during this time frame for Blacks and Latinos to come together and, you know, get out of, you know, the violent times during that time frame on the East Coast. And I think that we fail to realize, I think over time, and it's fine, I think it's coming back into it, you know, the Kendrick Lamar's, Killer Mike's, etc. It's coming back into the political sphere. And I think that this is where your video was amazing. I got in regards to, you know, learning how to, it'll be amazing for us to put the underground on the, what's the for that, like,
pedestal?
Yeah, upper ground, or pedestal, right? Being able to give you more limelight, right? And being able to push that, because at the end of the day, we need those type of images and those type of videos pushed through mainstream media. Is that going to happen? You know, we just got to keep fighting for the good fight. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, and this is definitely a time where things are changing.
Yep. Very true.
Things are changing. Yeah.
So, Ron, I would love to hear kind of your thought process behind the PTSD video and kind of what inspired you to make the song, just the motivation behind it and everything like that.
All right, so let's see. So for the past few weeks, I've been going to protests with Create the Change. They have a website, createthechange.org, and it was created by Kevin Welbeck. Okay. And every weekend, every Saturday, they go out to Hollywood to protest. And no justice, no peace has always been ringing in my mind. So my homegirl hit me up, J. Marie, shout out to her. And she said, hey, I need you to perform at a Juneteenth. So I sent her a song I have titled America KKK. You guys can check that out on YouTube. But she was like, this is a little bit too hard. You know what I mean? It had cursing in it. It was very strong. I had a lot of strong statements in it. She was like, I need something more for families. So I went in and I heard the beat, and no justice, no peace just kept ringing in my head. And from there, I went back to a time where I was a victim of police brutality in Fairfield, California. And the cold part about it is I was helping this woman move. And her thing was, hey, if y'all come help me move, you know what I mean? I'll buy y'all some food with my food stamps. So I help her move. We get all the way to Walmart. She has no money on her food stamps, right? So we just helped this woman move. She like, oh, come back tomorrow. I'm gonna have some money for y'all. So I'm driving back home a little upset. I dropped my partner off, and the police stopped me because I parked on his side of the street. We're in a neighborhood, and I parked on his side of the street, just being courteous, letting my partner out so he wouldn't have to walk all the way across the street. And it was a small street. So the cop pulls me over. He asked me for license, registration. I gave him license, registration, and insurance. And he's like, I need you to step out the car. And me, I'm young, I'm hot-headed. I'm like, for what? I'm like, why do I need to stop at the car? You know, what's the reason for you arresting me? He opens my door, snatches me out. 2 cops get on me. They hit me in the face. They start wrestling me on the ground. And the whole time, like, I was working at Budweiser at the time, so I had a good job. You know what I mean? I drove a Regal, which is called a scraper in the Bay, because that's what everybody drove. So obviously he profiled me for that reason. Although I had a good job, I wasn't selling drugs. Supposedly they were on a drug run. So the next day when I tried to go and make a report against the officer, me and my mother was literally sitting in the police department for an hour before somebody came out. We were sitting there like, hey, we want to file a police report. They sat there and made us wait for an hour because they didn't want us to file a report. When we were walking out, a sergeant finally came out. He was like, hey, I'm sorry. You know, we were on supposedly a drug run last night, and they profiled me. And like my eye was scarred. I was okay. I walked away cool. And I tried to take it to court, but I think it was like $1,500 to take it to like the next level in court. And we didn't have the money, so it was just like a loss for us. I couldn't really fight it.
Wow.
And it just spoke to you know, how we're just subjected to dealing with the police and having to just go along with certain things because of our, you know what I mean, our class and how much money we have. So I got all of that out in the song. You know what I mean? I got all of that out.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. It's really fucked up that to get justice, you have to have money.
Yeah.
And the people who are often subjected to these incriminations are people who can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's
so I think I was gonna say this is probably a great time to show the video, just so people can see. I'm excited to see.
Share it as well.
Police, no justice, no peace. Prosecute the racist police. Starting to feel I got PTSD. Seen too much bloodshed and death upon the streets. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the racist police. Martin Luther marched so Obama could run. And Obama began to run so we all could fly. Your dream ain't big enough if it can get done in this life. Tom Floyd didn't die in vain, forever an icon. Death crosses my mind, every traffic stop. Hoping I come out alive. The guarantee I see my family after I give them registration, insurance, license, and alibi. When he find me suspicious and perceive that I look like somebody guilty of a crime. Maybe it's my lies, maybe the tattoos on my arm, maybe the bass in my voice box. I fit the description whether I'm guilty or I'm not. If my hands aren't on the wheel, I reach over, then I'm shot. Harp on that, I pray that none of my fellow peers have to go through that. We call our ghetto the trap, cause we feel just that. Despite the struggles it brings, we're still proud to be black. No justice, no peace.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Thank
and
you.
It's empowering too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for your work.
I think the words are critical. It's very intentional in the words that you use,
Exactly.
especially dealing with racial profiling and your story behind it, as you alluded to it. I mean, we're in the right time to be listening to that. So I encourage everyone that's watching, make sure you go to YouTube, watch it, and share with your friends and family. Follow Ron as well. I mean, this is a great opportunity for. I'm gonna show it to my class tomorrow, actually. But it, you know, getting that type of that imagery, that type of solidarity, community into our communities is necessary. And I'm from Sacramento. I can't say I'm from the Bay because they'll get me. So, but a lot of my friends and family are in Oakland. My best friends are in Oakland, and so I love the Bay Area, and so good job on that, man. Keep representing your city.
And the fact that it had us at the park celebrating, like you said, it was and so a message that's kind of heavy, but it also shows our joy at the same time, which I really
finding a balance. Yep. I think it's important, which may be another conversation, is the PTSD. I ran into somebody, a black man who was a victim of, well, he wasn't a victim, but he had PTSD. He was a former veteran, and he thought my kids weren't mine, and he ended up coming at me, and I ended up fighting this guy at a laundromat because he thought my kids weren't mine. And afterwards, I seen him again on the street, and I thought about approaching him. I was angry about it. This time I didn't have my kids with me, and I thought about it, and I was like, man, he's probably really going through some things. Like, I need to leave this man alone. And I don't think PTSD just comes from going overseas and being at war. PTSD can come from the police simply putting us in handcuffs and being traumatized. You know what I mean? All the things that we're seeing. I saw a video where there was a young boy, he was playing on his patio and a police car drove by and he hid behind the car. And I think he was only about 10 or 11 years old. So the images that we're seeing, the cops, you know what I mean, that are killing young African Americans and not being, thrown in jail or penalized is causing a lot of us to have trauma and be, afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Because sometimes people hear PTSD, but they don't really know what that means. And like you said, it's not just when you go overseas. You can have PTSD just from the way in which you grew up and the things that you can experience every day just being Black. And so one thing I loved about your video is, one, the title. I mean, maybe that's the therapist in me, but it brings awareness, like PTSD, man, what is that? But just hearing the lyrics brings a sense of empowerment. And I said it earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. Sometimes, like, music is food to the soul, and so it can bring you up, and it can empower you, and give you that ounce of strength just to keep going and moving throughout the day. I remember some days I didn't want to go to work at previous jobs, and listening to certain music got me throughout the day. And I think that your music specifically has that power to sometimes get people to the next part of their day. So I commend you for that.
There's a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome.
Yeah, I'm reading that right now. I haven't started it, but I ordered it.
Oh, Eliza said by Joy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Literally, I encourage everyone to get that book as well. There's something on there. She talks about the map in there. And I think it's like the A, it's like the absence of opportunity to heal and access the benefits available in society, right? So that leads to this whole traumatic lifestyle. And so, man, you're right on it. I think you should write a song about this too. There's
literally
so much things that we don't deal with in knowing how to heal. We have to be resilient without having the opportunities. And so I think things are shifting. This world is shifting. Politics is shifting. Rap, hip hop is shifting, and we're in a good space right now. I believe so.
Yeah, I do. I believe so.
And so, I don't want to keep you guys long. Do you have any closing remarks?
Everyone has to say a closing remark, Ron Deuce. So, you want me to start?
You can start.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start something. I always usually have something. Dang it. Okay.
You have your SOS 10?
Of course, sos10.org. So for those that don't know, we are doing some organizing out here in regards to bringing Black awareness around Black issues, Black and brown issues concerning our people, the minority. We have a huge Black and brown population, and we're doing a petition to ask our supervisor of our county for more resources, our mayors, our city elected officials, etc. So if you can, sign the petition. It's sos10.org. If you have any feedback, let me know. Also, I'll be running for Lancaster. It's Antelope Valley Union High School District School Board out here. So for those that want more information, I haven't really officially announced, but here's just a little,
This is pretty official.
Yeah, so it's pretty official.
This is the exclusive.
Hit me up if you're interested in volunteering. Peace.
Okay. I'll go next. I would just say that we talked about a lot of different things, but if there's one thing I can tell you guys today is really protect your mental health. Do your self-care, whether it's music, meditation, prayer, whatever you got to do to build up your resiliency to get through this time, do it, because it is so important. You only have one mind, and once that mind goes, it's really hard to make sure that your immune system is up to par. And as we can see in the climate, people are sick around us. But I just encourage you guys, really do your self-care. There's a lot of different free resources to get therapy. And if you don't want to, or if you're not ready to get therapy, there's free meditation apps like Insight Timer. Please feel free to do that. Listen to music that will empower you and get you to the next level. And just, if nothing else, protect your peace.
Well, I want to thank you guys for allowing me on this platform. I was tuned in to the episode where you guys talked about gun safety. So I just wish you guys the best and keep up. I'll be tuned in whenever you guys go live. Be sure to follow me, Ron Deuce, on all platforms. I put the video Black Boy PTSD also on World Star just to kind of shed some light through all the darkness and ugly stuff that's on that website. So be sure to watch the video on either website. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'll close out again. I'm working on a campaign for an app that will help deter police brutality in our major cities by a check-in feature, a heads-up feature, and a help feature when you get pulled over by law enforcement or if you just feel in danger. Text Just Us to 31996 to get notified when the app drops.
Oh,
And
wow.
thank you everybody for tuning into Yup Live. We miss you,
Yes.
Sheree.
And thank you, Ron, as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, we miss you, Sheree. Yes, we miss you. All right, bye guys. Follow us on social